Good morning. How's everyone?
Good.
All right, I guess you fellas want a little brief synopsis of what went on Saturday. And, we went to Kansas City and played in the Classic. And I think we didn't win, first of all. So I'm going to put that to rest. But the guys played inspired football. They really did, and I know it's questions looming. A Division III opponent, it was Lincoln University and this and that and the other. But I was on the radio show Wednesday, I think it was, and I alluded to this. It doesn't make any difference what division you're in. You could be, football is football. It's played between the lines. Fans make the assessment of Division One and Division Two and 1A and all that stuff. But us as coaches, we try to play we play the game. It doesn't matter what your division is. It's what you do between those lines, like I said. And Lincoln had some formidable guys out there. They had a couple of guys that probably were, drop down guys. If you understand what I'm saying, guys that were in Division I programs but wound up there at Lincoln, and they did well. And anytime you got a quarterback who played well, what's his name, Morris, played well, and then they had a little running back, Henderson, who probably also is a Division I drop down. I didn't do any research to find out. And then they had a receiver, number 10. You got those, your three guys on the offense, and then you got your line that's doing their job. They can give you a tough time. And we started slow, and it was one of my pet peeves is start fast, finish strong. But obviously we didn't start slow on the offensive side of the ball. But once we got our feet wet and got adjusted, I think offensively we corrected a lot of stuff. But unfortunately, defensively, we couldn't maintain. And like I said, at number 2 and their quarterback number 12 made some great plays, made some good plays, and time just ran out on us.
Is it encouraging looking forward? Offensively, there had been some question marks before this game, and you guys came out. I know DJ threw for over 300 yards. You had a 100-yard rusher, but defensively looked to be the problem this week. Is that encouraging moving forward to maybe that your defense will be corrected and your offense looks good?
Yeah, it was very encouraging. But as far as the offense with me, I'm the running back coach. Okay, now I'm the interim head coach. So, I've been on the offense side of the ball all along. And it never was a question in our mind on the offense side of the ball about DJ's ability as quarterback. It never was. And I was overjoyed that our receivers finally held on to some balls and things. So now that the fans can actually see, it wasn't DJ Williams that was the reason we're in a little tailspin here. It's the whole, and football is a team sport, and everyone has to play. But unfortunately, as being a quarterback, everybody see you because you touch the ball every offensive snap. So they don't follow it downfield to see whether the receiver caught it or dropped it, or they don't look at the offensive lineman and see that he missed his block and you got knocked out your shoes and, little things like that. But it never was a question in my mind who the starting quarterback was.
Just kind of recap for us emotionally what this week was like for you, finding out that you were taking over as an interim coach and then having to prepare the team for a game and then having to actually execute that game plan. Walk us through just your bevy of emotions this week.
Okay. Well, it was tough that morning because when we came in, Coach said that, we had our usual meeting, and Coach came in, he's always upbeat, and he said, well, you guys going to have a new boss. We kind of looked, oh, Coach, you kidding, And he said, man, I'm not kidding. I just came from over the big house or the president's office, and I was let go. And then from that point, Mr. James, who's the AD, he came over. I think myself, I went outside, and just to clear my head a little bit. And then when I came back, they told me he was looking for me. And I met with Mr. James, and we went over to the president's office, and they asked me, would I? consider being the interim head coach. And man, that's a great opportunity anytime. And it's not my first time I've been an interim head coach, at my alma mater. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I won't share my personal opinion about it, but I've served in that capacity there twice. And it was a little bittersweet for me, to be real, because Doug brought me here when my alma mater said that I couldn't do the job. Matter of fact, they brought the former coach from here to my alma mater. So I was overjoyed really to come here and work for Grambling. But like I said again, to make a long story short, I had mixed emotions because Doug Williams and George Ragsdale have a relationship further than this. See, a lot of people don't know that, I played with Doug. We played together in Tampa for 4 years, and we played together in the USFL for 2 years. And it was kind of bittersweet, but, I talked with him, and we conferred, I think, that, I could hold the guys together because, I'm a coach first and foremost, I'm a coach. And the coach has to be able to relate to players, and he just felt like the players would respond and stick together, with me being in charge. So, to say the least, I accepted the position, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get Grambling to where I know Grambling belongs and can be, because I've had the experience in the I won't say pleasure as a player to play Grambling. And I'm going to tell you my age. In 72 to 74, 75, we had a series with Grambling. And this is the only university that in my college career that I never won a game against. Everybody else, I can say I won 1, 2, some of them 4. But these Tigers, man, I'm a 0-4. But so I was overjoyed to come and work for them.
What's the biggest challenge do you feel like taking over the interim tag so early in the season? Usually interim coaches are normally a 1-game, 2-game basis, and you're taking up nearly an entire season.
The advantage, I think, is it's kind of I say on the job interview, really. I've been told that I would be considered for the head job when it's all over, but I couldn't do nothing but help myself by winning.
What are some of the challenges of Alabama State this week, just from your perspective?
Well, Alabama State has a great runner, of course, and defensively, they play a regular 4-3 defense, and depending on what kind of offensive set you give them, they'll give you a nickel or dime package, and for you fans that don't understand that, they'll bring in another DB, whereas it's usually 4 DBs in the game. They'll bring in 5, a dime package, they might bring 6, depending on how we try to spread them out. But offensively, like you said, I feel pretty good about what we're doing. Because I think Byron Brown, who is our offensive coordinator, him and I would, we worked pretty good Saturday together, as far as trying to keep the chains moving, and and V's the type of guy now, he likes to pass the ball, and I like to pass the ball too. Don't get me wrong now, but I believe in working the clock, and you got to work the clock with your runners, but I think we have to control the ball. Against Alabama State, because Crowell is, is a prolific runner, and I'm sure they're going to try to put the ball in his hands as much as possible, being that they don't have that per se star receiver that they used to have. They got a kid that they keep trying to get the ball to, but he's been having his troubles, and hopefully he don't straighten them out against us.
Have you talked to Doug since the loss? If so, did he say anything, or before the game, did y'all talk? Did he give you any advice or anything?
I talk to Doug every day. Like I said, we friends, you know what I mean? I talked to Doug after the loss, and, he shared some things with me. And, I respect some of the things he shared, but I still have my own opinion there. Because look, so let me say this. Me and Doug, great friends. But I was in Tampa Bay before Doug Williams got there, okay?
How was the team's morale now that it's come?
So you don't understand what I just said, do you?
I do.
I was in Tampa Bay in 1976. Okay, Doug came in, 78, 77?
Mm-hmm.
So, when people refer to you, they say, well, you played with Doug Williams.
He played with you.
Okay.
Coach, you talked about Tampa Bay, that first year at Tampa Bay, you know all about frustrations. Does that help you out in a situation like you're in now, do you think? I mean, you were at Tampa Bay that first year. A lot of us remember.
It kind of,
help you now?
it's kind of sort of, you know, but it was a little different, you know, in Tampa Bay because I was a player, you know, and I was in the position to do something about it. But, you know, I learned something in Tampa Bay, though. That's what you call a team. You know, I can feel the way I feel, and I can work my butt off every day the way I feel. But you got to have some other guys that's willing to do the same thing. But the answer to your question is, yeah, it gets you ready in the total realm of things because, you know, you got to be patient, but you can't be too patient. You know, you got to want things and you got to want them now. But you got to understand that if you get everybody on the same page, that they will slowly but surely start coming.
How excited are you about that? Because you and I talked, and you said you can see that about everybody getting on the same page. This team, you know, they are talented. It's just a matter of putting it all together on the same day.
Very excited about it, Larry. I'm very excited about these guys because the thing I try to let people know that we were headed in the right direction anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I guess that the patience wore out with Coach. You know, I guess I don't know because I'm assistant head coach, okay, and that's what I was doing, working my butt off to make things right, to the running back end. But now I got to work my butt off to make all of them see that it's an urgency to us to turn this thing around. You know, and I'm gonna do that. That's my goal, and you know, I got a lot of guys and all of the coaches. We all feel the same way. We're gonna work and get this thing turned around.
You mentioned start of the game is very important to you. So what are you going to emphasize to the guys this week about starting the game off well, just even from the sidelines coming out of the tunnel and in the first quarter?
Exactly. You know, when we start practice, when they in there stretching, when we out going through our regular stretch before we start, I've always been, even before now, I believe in starting fast. And I walk through the ranks as they stretching and things, letting them know how important it is to get loose right now so that we can start fast and finish strong. And see, sometimes, you know, you had to keep reiterating that stuff to young people a lot of times because, you know, being young, you think you're going to live forever. But it ain't going to happen. So, you know, and I try to tell guys this game or athletics in general is a short preview of life. You know, if you're a fighter in your sport or whatever you do, most of the time you're going to do good in your career endeavor, most of the time.
Mr. Running Backs Coach, talk about Justin Kelly and what he did on Saturday night.
Well, Justin Kelly, you know, when the season started, when we started camp in August, I got two of them. We call them our little babies. They are little bulls. You know, Justin Kelly is 5'11", 245, and Noble Johnson is 6 feet, 256. Noble has great feet. Justin has great power, you know, and you know, look, I was happy when the season started because I knew what my segment was going to plug in. I knew, you know, if they just listened, developed, and worked hard, that they could be anything they want to be. And see, I always pose a question to my group, and I'm going to pose it to the whole team when we have our team meeting. What do you want out of this? You know, what do you want out of it? I know us as coaches, we want to win. We want to do everything right, but what do you want out of it? And most of those guys, they come up with some pretty good answers. You know, it's just like school teaches all of us to plan and make goals. You know, that's what I try to do with my guys. Okay, but Justin Kelly, I knew it was something special about both of those kids. And as long as they stay healthy and the Lord is willing, those guys I could see Justin Kelly on the next level, but he has to see himself there. But he played a tremendous game Saturday because my starting back is Cedric Skinner, who is a warrior. Believe this. And one thing I promote in my segment, and there is going to be our team, y'all's too, all right? Because, see, everybody going to jump on the bandwagon when you start winning, you know what I mean? But, you know, you got to push each other to be good. You know what I mean? I used to tell the running backs, hey, in a week, I could have a different starter depending on the work that you put in during the week. And believe it or not, I got eight guys that push each other every day. I mean, they push each other every day. Now, like I said, Skinner is the starter. Unfortunately, Skinner got his shoulder a little banged up against Monroe, the other week. And I had a question whether I was going to start him or not, but I did because, like I said, he's a warrior. And I put responsibility on them. Be responsible for your actions. I try to coach and try to, I guess I won't say raise them because they're not my kids, but they are. I try to get them in the form, in the frame of mind that, hey, I'm going to be responsible for my actions. So Skinner wanted to start, and he is my starter. He said, Coach, I'm all right. I can play. I'm all right. He had it taped up and this and that. And I said, okay, Skinner, I'm going to let you start. So he went in, and he did well now. Don't get me wrong. He ran the first couple of balls, and he probably wound up with maybe 16 to 17 yards and 2 carries, which is pretty good, okay? As a matter of fact, I can tell you exactly what he did. He had 6 carries for 25 yards, 4.2, which is pretty good, okay? But he wasn't Cedric Skinner because he's a warrior, and I know. And, he was a little timid, so I said, Skinner, what a great opportunity. I said this to me, not to him. I said, what a great opportunity for me to get Justin right. Because we still got the whole conference ahead of us now. I understand this. We 0-3, but we done had some good opponents to let us find a lot out about ourselves, okay? But back to Justin now. I'm not getting off of Justin. I went to Justin, and I said, Justin, it's your time now. It's like I tell him, you're only an injury away from being a starter. I tell him that all the time. So Kelly said, I'm ready, Coach. I'm ready. And sure enough, he went out there, and he was ready, man. I mean, he for a freshman, he played, man. He had on his touchdown run, that was a man run. Y'all hear me? A man run. He ran through, around, and over some people.
You said you've been an interim coach before, so what are the challenges of just, reaching out to the defense and to the running backs coach and really communicating with Coach Winston to make sure your defense is ready for this week, since you said you've been an interim coach before?
Did that this morning. Matter of fact, I guess while you guys were sitting up in here, we had an early morning meeting with our AD, and right after we left his meeting, we had our little planning meeting in there about, our trip, what time we're going to leave, put together our travel roster and all that stuff. And, talked about the defensive part of the game Saturday a little bit. How we can do things a little better, and come out on the winning end, man. Because 35 points, 34 points, that's a good number of points. But then when you give up 47, it ain't enough to win, is it? So we got to figure out. I'm gonna say this, excuse me for getting off of it, but it's still about winning and losing. John McKay used to always say this through 0-26. A lot of people probably don't remember that. We were 0-26 before we won a game. And we used to have guys sitting in the locker room talking about the law of average. Oh, we're going to win after a while. I said, shoot, man, the law of average don't guarantee you nothing. You got to go put that work in. But John McKay used to always tell us, we're going to keep it close and win in the end. If they don't score, they can't beat us. I said, well, you know what? I'm an offensive guy. I'm listening to the coach talk about, Coach McKay talk about winning in the end and stuff. I said, man, just to myself, because, you wouldn't dare say that to John McKay. Man, we need to score every time we get the ball. But obviously we had some Leroy Selmans and Dewey Selmans and Mark Cottons and a whole bunch of guys, Batman and all those guys that played great defense. And, even though we lost a lot of games early on, we lost games 6-0, 14-3 and stuff like that. They were playing some defense. We just had to develop offensively. And believe it or not, 77, I think, we got dug. We learned how to win a few games. I think we won about 6. And in 79, I can sit here and say I'm proud to be from the worst to the first because we went to the playoffs in 79.
If the defense had a hard time stopping Lincoln, how do you stop Alabama State and Crowell? You mentioned him, how he's a good runner. Obviously, everyone knows him nationally, just transferring in. But, like I said, if you had a hard time stopping Lincoln, it's got to be kind of alarming when you're facing the opponent this Saturday.
Not really. because it's just like I told you. Everybody, fans looking at Lincoln as Division III. I looked at Lincoln as a football team. So they got a Crowell. Where number 2? That boy Henderson. So Henderson run that ball just as good as Crowell. Every bit of it might be quicker, but there's a reason Crowell there. You know what I mean? So we're gonna worry about what we can do, and not worry about what he's doing. See, we're gonna put the plan together to stop him. We ain't worried about him.
You had the change midweek last week. Do you think that maybe that could have been a part of the thing against the Blue Tigers there, just an emotional hangover almost? That it's hard for the players to get past until they got one under their belt?
Well, I tell you this. Not so much of the change that we had. Boy, I think it was the ride we had. Woo, boy. Man, listen. Fans never know, when you have to ride that far and then get off that bus and play. Even though we got there early, and we carried them out to the stadium and try to get some of that lactose acid out of them and stuff, but hey, that ride is a ride, man. That's a ride. And I'm not using that as an excuse now, by no stretch of the imagination now. I'm not using it as an excuse. But we did have to do it. And I think it had a little bit of bearing on it, but not that much.
Earlier last week when we first spoke with you, you mentioned how, you can only go up from here after the loss. I mean, I guess you can obviously only still go up, but where do you see things right now? That has to be pretty low now coming off this loss and 0-3 start.
Not really, because we got the whole conference ahead of us. See the thing that's enlightening and gonna pick us up is it's all still in front of us. Just like I said, those 3 games that we played, with the exception of Alabama A&M, the other 2 were measuring sticks. Especially ULM. That was a formidable poll. To let you know that hey, we could hang in there. Even though fans look at the score, I look at the way we attacked them and the way we played with them. You know what I'm saying? There, we was running around out there, just running away from blocks and running away from tackles and things. Now I'm worried, but I didn't see a lot of that. So we still have plenty to be encouraged about.
We got time for one more question.
Looking at it, you guys are still committed to costly penalties. I think costly penalties. I think 15 penalties and 2 turnovers. Obviously, that's going to be a big portion of trying to get this team turned around, is being able to fix those errors.
You know what? You're exactly right. And that was one thing that I said at the end of the game. We played a good game with the exception of the penalties. And for all the stats buffs out there, we had 15 penalties for 131 yards. They had 17 penalties for 148 yards. But the proof is right there in those numbers, is when you get the penalties. It's not how many you have. We had penalties after we made big plays. We made big plays, and then we had to bring it all the way back. You know what I mean? They had penalties, 5 yards here, or defensive penalties, ours offensive penalties. So obviously, we're going to have to cut down on the penalties, because if we cut these penalties out, we might kill any desire and hope they had a beating us. But it is what it is. We had the penalty, so we got to work as a coaching staff to get our guys to understand we can't have little penalties or them personal fouls. See, that's the ones that really hurt. But we're gonna work on getting rid of those.